Hey everyone, my name is Samir. I am the owner of Bitcoursely. If you don't know me, I am a former influencer who worked with about 100 different brands. I did about 20 million views before starting a marketing company called Bitcoursely that focuses on medical business. And I also own a business brokerage which helps exit companies past 7 figures, and I have a newsletter which shows you how to do it. So let's talk about medical marketing strategies that no one actually talks about, and that's how to get leads on autopilot. Whether you're starting or you have been doing this for a long time, I'm going to talk to you about the different types of traffic, which is warm versus cold. Typically, the system that I'll use with our clients to 2 to 3x their monthly recurring revenue. The problem that most medical businesses face, and in general, most businesses face in general as well. So everyone keeps telling you to create content, go viral, build trust, and it takes a while to build momentum. Even if you're working right now and things are working well, typically it's either through referrals or people that you know. Very minute amount of marketing is typically done in regards to a lot of businesses. So everyone keeps saying what everyone says: create content, go viral, build trust. But here's the truth: content won't grow your medical business at all. Now, if you're waiting on warm leads, now from YouTube, TikTok, or Instagram, basically people to see your content and be like, wow, that person's great, and come to you, that is not going to happen soon. Your competition is typically picking them up from cold traffic, which is done right. And that's where I would suggest starting right away: content and cold traffic. So let's talk about exactly what each one is. So let's talk about trap that most warm traps are. And this is typically what they say when they say to go viral on social media. So a lot of times people will do content marketing, meaning they'll post a bunch of content, random stuff that they've seen online. They'll do YouTube, podcast, or they'll have mainly referrals where they talk to people and then get to know them at events. The problem is this isn't really automated and you're kind of chasing leads. I talked to a lab a week ago who said they literally just have so much trouble finding clients. But when I asked them what they did, they just said that they use referrals, which is horrible. So what's the difference between warm and cold? So warm traffic is, think of them like a pharmaceutical rep, somebody who actually builds relationship with. They know your face, you're at the top of their mind because you're always around. Warm traffic could be content, it's a brand, it's showing up consistently. Now this is important, but I would be doing this, but a lot of people tell you to start with this, but this is not really what you need to be doing. So cold traffic is how you can get scale really fast. Now, cold is just showing up out of nowhere with a solution people already want. So think about it like, cold calling people, which is our typical way, which I'll get into in a second, running ads, which we do as well. And you're just directly getting in someone's face and there's a need for it. So this is where most people mess it up. They mix up the strategies, they waste their time, they spend too much time without an offer and everything else. And this is the thing that is usually a problem. So you might have reached out to a few people, you might have sent in some LinkedIn DMs or messaged somebody and they don't care. they really don't respond to you. That's because you honestly don't have a good offer. You don't have a good offer and you don't have a good lead magnet, meaning you're not giving them anything. You're not really having anything that they want. You're just kind of saying, hey, it's very transactional. Like, I'm going to give you this drink right here, and you give me $5. And that doesn't really work. Instead, when you're trying to do something like this, what I say all the time is you need to be leading in with not only a good offer, but a good lead magnet, meaning something that people actually want for free. Not just audits, because everyone goes to audits, but give them more. Basically, do work that you would typically do paid, but do it for free. And it doesn't have to be a full-on thing that you do. Like, it doesn't have to be for example, if you're a medical billing company, you could add the audit, you can show them how they save money, you can send them a spreadsheet, you can send them a PDF, you can do all these things that build your authority. Not just, hey, let me just show up and sell you something. That's scammy. We don't do that. So what I suggest is a hybrid strategy. And this is what I typically tell clients. We don't start out like this, but this is exactly what I like. So we start with cold traffic. And I'll get into exactly how to do that in just a second. But this is to get appointments right away, because you need to get your cash flow steady. You need to get your cash flow increasing. So at the same time, obviously, when you say, hey, my name is so-and-so, I do this, like I'm a lab that is interested in, I'm a lab that wants to work with you. Okay, and X, Y, and Z, and people are like, oh, that sounds great. Then they're going to Google you. As soon as they hang up the phone with you, or as soon as they read your email, they're going to Google you to make sure that you look good. So that's where warm stuff comes in. So you have your social media, your content. You can think of it as proof that you, like if you look up VidCourse now, you can see all the proof that kind of goes with it. Same thing with your company. You want to make sure Google My Business is up and running. You want to make sure that you have all these things that look good and have content, so people know that you actually care and are showing up. Typically have your face in it. Do a walkthrough of your lab, your strategy, whatever else you have, or your med spa, whatever, and show them that it's a real place, that it's great, because right now there's a lot of competition. You're not the only one, unless you're in a really nice area where you're the only one. But still, even then, I work with a luxury furniture store who's the only one, yet they still post content like crazy because they want to capture the market. After you do that, you want to scale with a system, meaning you want to add content that just grows by itself. You want to have a system that, for example, you just make one piece of content, and then it turns into multiple, but that's later on. Okay, and scaling with systems can mean multiple things, but for the purpose of this conversation, we're just talking about our traffic, so we'll talk about automations later. Okay, so here is the strategy, and let me move myself over real quick. So here's the strategy basically for B2C. Okay, so we'll talk about B2C and B2B. So typically what works for med spas, TRT, and labs is, let's talk about actually what doesn't work first. It's posting random content with no offer, relying on word of mouth, and boosting IG posts without a target. Now, what works best is high converting paid ads. People are already looking for some of this stuff, things in their area. You offer something that's, X, Y, and Z injectables for as low as X amount, Botox for X amount, and showing something like that in your area, something like that where you start targeting people. And that's where the lead magnet comes in. So you have a free body scan, free consult, something that really attracts them, or a payment plan that makes it affordable for everybody. And then you want to retarget them. So if they opt in and they're like, oh, that's interesting, like you want to make sure they click to something, book an appointment, something to come see you. And then that's why I said you also want to be posting content, because you're going to Google your business to make sure it doesn't look sketchy as heck. So that's what I would do if you're B2C. I would definitely start running ads, typically like $15 to $20 a day, and that should get you some results. Meta and Facebook ads typically is the best one. Or if you're just trying to reach consumers as a lab or anything else, definitely run paid ads, because you can get in their face really fast. Now, if you're B2B, meaning you're like a medical billing company, for example, your clinical path lab can also work here as well. What you're going to do here is you're going to use the strategy, and we actually use the strategy exactly with a lab that we 3x their monthly recurring revenue in less than 4 months, so less than 120 days. So what we did is we deployed an AI scraper. And if you don't know what an AI scraper, lead scraper is, it's basically finding data. You don't even need something as complex as that. All you need to do is Google, like physician's office. So let's just give a hypothetical example. If I was a medical billing company, I would Google physician's office in my area. Okay, so I would find that based off of demographics, based off where you live there. And what I would do is I would have a script, a cold calling script. That's what we typically do as well. We typically get a cold calling script, which is like, hey, we are this company and we are offering this amazing thing to you. Are you interested in that? And value, free. I'm offering this, X, Y, Z, not just an audit, not something whatever. We have an audit, we have a tool, we have a chart, we made a custom thing for you to show how much money you spend. Can we do that for you? Blah, 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 like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things that they're going to get, because if they realize you're doing all this work for free, then whatever's behind your paywall is even better. Then you want to make the 20 calls and test it yourself. So you want to pick up the phone, go to Google. After you do your script, use ChatGPT, call them and say, hey, this is what I'm offering. Are you interested? Make 20, 30 calls. Make it a day. Honestly, 100 outreach a day is probably the best, but try at least 20. And if you get a yes, that's when you want to go to step 4 and hire somebody. You can hire a virtual assistant. You can find them on Facebook, Upwork, Fiverr, whatever. Maybe about $200 a month. It's not that crazy. At the very cheap end, typically you probably should be paying like $500 a month, but at the very low end for part-time work, something like that. So once that happens and you get them to make the calls then and book the appointments for you, then you want to do data-driven optimization, meaning you want to just see what's working, what's not working, who you're going to calling, what's happening, and then you want to start filling your calendar. So that's the very first thing I would do. Basically, just find something, pick up the phone, test it out a few times, hire somebody to do it, and then see what's working, and then just keep refining it and refining it until you land that first client. And then here's some results from medical companies. Typically, like when they've done stuff like this that I've said, like their ROI has increased like a lot, like 3 times, and they typically can book at least 7 weekly appointments. And again, this isn't right away. This isn't going to happen like in 2 seconds. You're going to have to take your time, refine a script, and give things that people want. I mean, they typically save like daily, they save like 3 to 4 hours once the system happens. And then typically in like 6 weeks is when they see an ROI happening. But this can depend on what they're offering for free and everything. Sometimes it takes a lot longer. Typically for us, I like to work with them for a year. And if that scares you to see like an ROI in a year, you're not cut out for business. This is going to take a long time for you to see 2x ROI. Remember, you're doubling your business. And if you're starting from zero, it might take even longer than that. This is a long-term gain and long-term game, and this is something that is really attainable, but you just have to keep it going. And so this is what you're going to do. So start implementing one of those strategies and then let me know in the comments if you have any questions.